Now the next concept in P block is what that inert pair effect after hydrolysis that we have discussed. Now what is inert pair effect? Right? So when we observe electronic configuration of P block elements, the valence shell electronic configuration, then this electronic configuration is what that NS2 NP 1 to 6, and there are distribution of elements of P block, that is from group number 13 to group number 18, right? Group number 18 is of the noble gases which do not form bonds normally, right? So mainly we'll be dealing with what up to group number 17. When we'll be talking about what that inert pair effect, our focus will be from group number 13 to group number 17. 18th group will not be considering, as noble gases are reluctant in bond formation altogether, right? So we'll be dealing with what type of valence shell electron configuration, that is NS2 NP125, while we'll be talking about what that inert pair effect, right? Now what is the meaning of valence shell electron? So we say what the outermost electrons which are responsible for valency or the bond formation, right? In what we say, valency electrons are meant for what? These are meant for bonding, right? So also in valency shell, 2 electrons they are present in this s orbitals, and 5 electrons these are presenting p orbitals or the p subshell, right? So what we say, p electrons these are utilized in bonding, as well as these s electrons they also are utilized in bonding, as these are belonging to what that valency shell, right? But in inert pair effect, what we'll find, as we move down in a group in p block elements, what it happens, the valency shell s electron pair, it becomes quite hesitant or reluctant in bond formation, right? What we say, as we move down in a P block group, what we are finding, as we move down in a group, the valency shell s electron pair, it is not interested in forming the bond, and this non-interest or its uninterest, that is being increased as we are moving down in a group, right? So this reluctance of s electron pair in bond formation as we move down in a group in P block, this is known as what that inert pair effect, right? This is known as what? So we say this is inert pair effect. Is it clear to all of you? Once more I am defining increasing reluctance of valency shell s electron pair in bond formation as we move down in a group in P block elements. This is known as what that inert pair effect, right? Now we'll be going deep in the inert pair effect, its applications and all. What is the cause of this inert pair effect? So normally what we find, as we move down in a group, size of the atom it increases, right? As we move down in a group, what we find, the size of atom it increases, and as the size of atom it increases, what it should happen, the valency shell electron pair, the valency shell electrons, they should be lost easily rather than being held up tightly. They should be ready to be involved in what that bond formation. But here what we are finding, this electron pair of valency shell, that is becoming increasingly inert as we are moving down in a group, right? So this is just opposite to what we were expecting, because as we were moving down in a group, so size of the atom it was increasing, and so the outermost electrons, they should be less tightly bound to the nucleus or with the atom, so they should be lost readily. But rather what we are finding, rather than being lost readily, these are not interested in forming the bonds or not interested in being utilized in bond formation. You're getting it? So now what is the reason for this? So when we analyze electronic configuration of these elements, so what we find, for the first 2 elements, inert pair effect, it is being observed from element number 3 in a group of periodic table, then in element number 4 as well, and in element number 5 as well, right? So as we are moving down in a group, observation of inert pair effect, that is there from element number 3 and that goes up to element number 5, right? And this increases continuously as we are moving down in a group. So that effect of inert pair effect will be least at element number 3 and that will be highest at element number 5. Right? So now we are going to analyze the reason for this, that why it happens, why this opposition, why this contradiction. Right? So the first two elements in any group of the p block elements, they are what? Now, say for example 13 group we are considering. So the electronic configuration of boron is what? So we say it is helium, and then it is what? 2s2 and 2p1. When we talk about aluminium, then it is what? That neon, the noble gas configuration, then this was 3s2 and 3p1. But when we talk about gallium, it is what? That noble gas followed by 3d10, then it is 4s2 and then it is 4p1. Right? So from element number 3 onwards, what we find, there is change in the nature of electronic configuration. Right? In gallium it was what? After noble gas, there were 10 d electrons. Then in indium again, it will be what? That krypton, then it will be 4d10. Right? And in helium, there was even a major difference. That was what? It is xenon, then 4f14, then 5d10, then it is 6s2 and 6p1. Right? So what we say, in third element of the group of periodic table, what we find, they contain what? 3d 10 electrons. Right? Then the fourth element, it contains what? That 4d10, and then fifth element, it contains 4f14 and 5d10. Right? Now when we talk about what? Screening or shielding effect of the inner electrons, what we say, the screening effect or the shielding effect is highest for the s orbital electrons, followed by p, then comes d, and then comes f. So the screening or shielding effect of f orbital electrons, that is the least. Right? And that of s is the highest. You're getting my point, what I'm saying? So when these d electrons they enter in the d subshell, what it happens? They exert poor screening effect over what? The outer s and p electrons. And taking advantage of this situation, the nucleus, it pulls outermost electrons towards itself. What that means? What? Effective nuclear charge is more. So as we are moving down in the group, what we are finding, that from element number 3, 3d subshell has been filled up. Right? And as it has been filled up, what it is causing? It is causing lesser screening or the shielding effect over the outer electrons, the valency shell electrons. And taking advantage of this poor screening or shielding effect, nucleus is pulling what? Outermost electrons more towards it. Right? Or in other language, what we can say? We can say nucleus is exerting more force of attraction on the outermost electrons, and hence these are what? These are tightly held. Right? And if these are tightly held, then this means what? Their involvement in bond formation will be lesser. You're getting my point? This poor screening effect of d orbital electrons, this is causing what? Quite shrinking in the size of atom. And as that size of atom is shrinking, what it happens? The hold of nucleus over outermost electrons, it is more. Right? When we say about what? Inert pair effect, then inert pair effect is observed over what? The s electron pair, p electrons are lost quite easily. Right? So the reluctance of s electron, that becomes more. It is because of what? So we say there is what? Quite shrinking in the size of atom, or what we say, the percentage increase in size, it decreases as we move down in a group. Right? From boron to aluminium size, it was increased as it was expected. But in gallium, indium and other elements, what we are finding, there is what? Increase in size. Though gallium is smaller than aluminium, but in general what we say, if there is an increase, there is increase in the element which is belonging down in a group. But what it happens? Percentage increase, it decreases. You're getting my point? So what it happens? So we say as the percentage increase in size is decreased, that is why this s electron pair is finding it difficult to involve itself in what? That bond formation. Got my point? So when we move to the fourth element, then what we find, that this contraction in size, that will be because of 3d10 as well as 4d10. So here percentage increase will still be lesser. And when we talk about what that last element, that is helium, what we'll be finding? There will be effect of 3d10, 4d10, 5d10 and 4s14. And that is why its percentage increase in size, that will be the least. Though its size is going to be the highest, but still what we say? So we say it is percentage increase in the size, that is the least in case of helium. Got it? Everything clear? So as we are moving down in the group, what we are finding, though there was increase in size of the element, but percentage increase in size, that was decreasing continuously. Fine? And that is why what we say, as we move down in a group, what is that holding capacity for s electron pair, that becomes more as we are moving down in a group. And that is why this s electron pair, it is becoming increasingly inert in bond formation. Is that okay? So this is what that cause of inert pair effect. So fine, it was due to what that 3D, 4D, 5D and 4S. Fine. Now what we say, the effects of inert pair effect. So the effect of inert pair effect is what? So we say, or the consequences of inert pair effect. So we say the p block elements, they start showing what that variable valency or the variable oxidation states due to inert pair effect. Fine. The consequences of inert pair effect are what? So we say p block elements, they start showing what that variable valency or the variable oxidation state due to this inert pair effect. Fine. What we say, say for example, this only the electronic configurations are written here for 13 group elements. So we'll be taking their example only. Fine. So varium, it loses what? 1 electron from the p subshell. Fine. Then this s electron pair is what? It is quite inert in bond formation relatively. So what we say, one of the compounds of gallium we will be finding what? One type of compounds we will be finding in +1 oxidation state, because it was quite stable. It was stable enough to exist at least. Fine. And after the loss of this p electron, these s electrons, these are being lost, but their loss was quite slow, and hence what we are observing, we'll be observing two types of oxidation states in compounds of gallium. One in +1 and other is in +3 oxidation state. If apart from p electrons, this s orbital electrons, these also are utilized in bond formation, then what? Another type of oxidation state, that is +3, that also will be observed. Fine. Now what we say, for indium also it will be the same. And what it will be happening in case of indium, so we say that +3 oxidation state, that is more for indium than gallium, because inert pair, the effect of inert pair effect, it increases as we are moving down in a group. So +3 oxidation state, that is lesser stable for gallium and it is more stable for indium. Fine. Now the next thing is what? So next thing is what? That helium. In case of helium, what we say, so we say that for helium, +1 oxidation state, that is found to be more stable than its +3 oxidation state. So as we are moving down in the group, what we are finding? +1 lower oxidation state, that is becoming more and more stable, and higher oxidation state, that is becoming lesser and lesser stable. So if we talk about what that stability of +3 oxidation state, so what we say, GaCl3 more than InCl3 more than TlCl3. I think before a minute I spoke it wrong. GaCl3 is more stable than InCl3 and InCl3 is more stable than TlCl3. And when we'll be talking about what that +1 oxidation state, then what we'll be finding, TlCl is more stable than InCl and InCl is more stable than GaCl. Is that clear? So as we are moving down in a group, due to inert pair effect, the lower oxidation state, it becomes more and more stable. Fine. Now some questions related to reasoning based on that inert pair effect. What we say, GaCl3 or InCl3, these are more stable than their corresponding +1 oxidation state chlorides. Fine. So if in a reaction we are using what GaCl or InCl, these tend to enter into what? Their more stable oxidation state, which is what that +3 for them. Fine. So InCl and GaCl, these are what? These are relatively unstable. In their +3 oxidation states, they are more stable. So if these compounds, they are used in some chemical reaction, then in those reactions they tend to enter into +3 oxidation state. That means they try to get themselves oxidized. Fine. And if these themselves are getting oxidized, that means they can function as what? Reducing agents. Fine. So the reasoning question which can be asked is what? GaCl or InCl, they function as reducing agents. So now we can explain it very easily, because for GaCl, for gallium and indium, +3 oxidation states, these are more stable. So if they are given in +1 oxidation state, they will try to enter into +3 oxidation state. That means they try to get oxidized, and the species which are undergoing oxidation, they are causing what? Reduction of the species, reduction of the neighboring species. Is that clear to all of you? So GaCl and InCl, they function as what? Reducing agents. Fine. Now, if we want to compare the reducing strength, then what we say? The most unstable +1 is what? That is of gallium. Fine. So this will be functioning as what? The best reducing agent among what? GaCl, InCl and TlCl. Is it clear? Now the same type of question it can be asked for what? That helium TlCl3 wants to enter into what? TlCl, because for helium +1 oxidation state is more stable than +3. Fine. For helium what we say? So we say +1 oxidation state is more stable than +3, and hence if TlCl3 is being used in some chemical reaction, there it will be trying to enter in what? That +1 oxidation state, and hence here it is undergoing reduction, and the species which undergoes reduction causes what? Oxidation of the other species present in the reaction mixture. Fine. So TlCl3, as it tries to enter into TlCl and it is undergoing reduction, so it will be functioning as what? An oxidizing agent. Fine. So these are the reasoning questions related to the chlorides of group 3 elements, group 13 elements. Fine. Now similar questions, PbCl2 is more stable than PbCl4, or it is SnCl4 more stable than SnCl2. So for the same reason, SnCl2, that will be functioning as what? A good reducing agent. In PbCl4, the last element of 14th group, for this +2 oxidation state is more stable than +4. So from +4 it will be trying to enter into what? That +2. So Pb +4 will be functioning as what? An oxidizing agent. Is that clear? Another type of questions which can be asked related to the chlorides of 14th group. So what we say, PbCl4 it exists, while PbBr4 or PbI4 they do not exist. Right? Another type of reasoning question related to the chlorides of 14th group. So what we say, PbCl4 is an existing compound, while PbBr4 or PbI4 they are non-existing. Fine. So how we will explain this? So we say in among halides, what we find as we move down in a group. For halides we are saying as we are moving down in a group, what we find, the reducing tendency of halide ion, it increases. Fine. So I negative is what? A strong reducing agent, followed by Br negative. Cl negative is a poor reducing agent, and F negative is not a reducing agent only. Fine. So for halide ions, what we have said, as we move down in a group, so what we find their reducing behavior, it increases. So I negative is the best reducing agent, followed by Br negative. Cl negative is not so good a reducing agent, and F negative is not at all a reducing agent. Fine. So when we try to make what? PbBr4 or PbI4, what we need to do, we have to mix what? Pb+4 ions with I negative ions, or Pb+4 ions with Br negative ions. Right? For making PbBr4 or PbI4, what we need to do, so we say that we have to mix Pb+4 ions with Br negative ions, or Pb+4 ions with I negative ions. Right? As soon as we are mixing, what we find, Pb+4 is oxidizing, while Br negative or I negative, these are what? These are reducing agents. Right? So before the combination, they will be causing what? Mutual oxidation reduction. Pb+4 tries to enter into what? That +2 state, and I negative or Br negative, they try to go into what? That 0 oxidation state. Fine. So they cause what? That mutual redox, and a result of that is what? So we say PbBr2 plus Br2, or it is PbI2 plus I2. Right? What we say it is when we mix Pb plus 4 ions with Br negative or ion negative ion. Right? So rather than combining with each other, they cause what? Mutual redox reaction with each other. And result of that is what? So we say that in case of Br negative, what is the product? It is PbBr2 plus Br2. While in case of I negative, the products are PbI2 plus I2. Right? And this again we can explain in terms of what that inert pair effect. Pb plus 4 is lesser stable than Pb plus 2. So Pb plus 4 tries to enter into plus 2, and by doing this it is causing what that oxidation of Br negative or I negative. Right? In more than one correct, there one more answer can be correct if it can be, if it is given what? That steric hindrance of Br negative or I negative. Right? Br negative or I negative, these are what quite large in size, so it is quite difficult for Pb plus 4 to accommodate 4 larger Br or I negative ions over itself. This also can be correct if the question is what? More than one correct type of question. Right? This was related to inert pair effect. Right? Now another thing is what? So we say that BiCl3 is existing compound while BiCl5 is a non-existing compound. Now you see the pattern of question is changing. For group number 13 and 14, what we were saying that higher oxidation state was lesser stable and lower oxidation state was more stable. Here the question has been changed. In 15th group, what we are finding that bismuth is existing in lower oxidation state, is existing only in lower oxidation state with fluoride, while BiCl5 it is not existing only. You are getting my point? So this is showing what? As we are moving from left to right in the periodic table, the effect of inert pair effect is increasing. Here up to this bismuth, what we are finding that s electron pair is not being utilized during chloride formation. You are getting what I am trying to say? That inert pair effect is, it increases while we move down in a group, and it increases while we move from left to right in a period. That means it is one such periodic property which is increasing in both the directions, while we are moving vertically down in a group or we are moving horizontally in a period. Right? So this again can be a good question related to inert pair effect. Right? And its reason is quite obvious. As we are moving from left to right in the periodic table, what it happens? The size of atom it decreases, and as the size of atom it decreases, what it happens? Effective nuclear charge increases, and if effective nuclear charge is more, then it is difficult for what? S electron pair to be involved in bond formation. That means while we are moving from left to right in a periodic table, what we are finding? The effect of inert pair effect it increases. Right? So for bismuth, what we say? BiCl3 is existing while BiCl5 is non-existing compound. Is it okay with all of you? So now one more thing which we have to make clear here itself, and that is what? It's not that bismuth does not show +5 oxidation state. With stronger oxidizing agents or the smaller atoms, it can show what? +5 oxidation state. Right? With fluorine, it can form what? BiF5. Right? With oxygen also, it can form what? Bi2O5. So for those we can say what? They are good oxidizing agents, because from +5 it will try to enter into what? +3. So Bi2O5 is what? A very powerful oxidizing agent, and reason for that is what? For bismuth, +3 oxidation state is more stable than +5. For chloride, this is true that BiCl3 exists while BiCl5 it does not exist. Fine. So everything is clear related to inert pair effect. Okay. Thank you.